Welcome to the podcast. Mr. Dick Black here, hanging out with us. He is a staple in the Denver comedy scene. Been hitting it for a minute out here, way back in the before times. You were around when Roseanne got famous, weren't you?
I started in 2000.
2000?
December of 2000.
I think that might be when the Roseanne show was still on the air, but that was a joke.
Yeah.
That was an old white lady joke.
Yeah, I think she definitely got big at Comedy Works, that's for sure.
That was her fucking original stomping ground, wasn't
Yep.
it? Could you imagine being like, oh yeah, I saw Roseanne on stage at Comedy Works in like 1987?
Fucking, she was killing it. Just
Well, I really appreciate fucking white trash. I really appreciate her because she really did like put a magnifying glass on poor white trash.
Yeah.
She was like, this is what this shit looks like, just in
She
case
sure
we were
fuck did.
thinking it didn't exist.
and then became elevated with the same mentality.
Well, that's why she did such a good
That's what-
depiction.
exactly.
She never left
Exactly.
it. She white
She never
trash-
changed.
You can give white trash money, but you're still gonna be white trash.
Right, they're still gonna be white trash. They'll spell weir instead of where. Weir's my money.
Where's my money?
Where's my cash?
Well, there's a couple different types of white trash that's based on geography. There's your northeast white trash, mainly located to inner city Boston and Long Island. And then you got your southern white trash, which is spread out very wide, very big geographic area over the south, everywhere from like the former Mason-Dixon line down to around Oklahoma City.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and then
Bible Belt.
Yeah, and then you've got your California trash, your West Coast northeastern white supremacist.
What
trash.
are they? What are they like? The California trash.
I imagine very easygoing, like lots of post office jobs, stuff like that. But like they have a great grandfather that was born in West Virginia, so they just can't help but put like all their shit on their front lawn.
Fuck it.
Like
Put that tire over there
like,
next to the other one.
What are you doing? Fucking collecting Fisher Price toys on your lawn? The fuck is this?
You don't even have kids.
Well, they had a cousin or a brother that lived there because it's hard to get a lease.
Somebody's got kids.
Somebody's got kids.
Even if just people around the neighborhood just play in the yard, just like fuck it. Can I help you? Oh, never mind. You can have that one.
Shit, Jimmy. I used to have a buddy. I'm from the deep south. I'm from North Carolina. And
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. I'm from a place called Yadkin County, North Carolina.
Yadkin. How do you spell that?
Yadkin. Hey, do me a quick favor. Jump up and hit that green button on the air conditioner. Speaking of white trash, we got a shaker unit in here. There we go. Now it sounds like a professional podcast.
That's cool. You got
the studio apartment / apartment.
That's what's up. You got this is the studio?
I mean, I got the one bedroom over there that I kind
enough.
of use for storage, but yeah, this is the apartment studio, the studio apartment, if you will.
Apartment.
We got the light that we can't figure out as you can tell on the video. It's not too bright. There's just shadows. I haven't figured out how you see it. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, we're gonna discover professionalism one of these days. The trial and error process is what it is.
One day at a time. One day you have it, next day. Well, one day you don't. Next day you do.
So you've been doing comedy for, you said, 20 plus years.
20 years, yeah.
20 years. Wow, man. Where did you start in Denver? Where'd you start?
Yeah, I started right at Comedy Works. That was the first place I got on stage.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. So like 22. So like late 90s, back when like the Backstreet Boys were a thing and popular.
When they wanted it their way, I was on stage.
Did you give it to them their way?
I definitely did what I could, and I did enough to where 20 years later, here I am. So
we're still here, right?
Yeah, I totally wasn't expecting to be where I am today.
How old were you when you first got on stage?
20 years ago, I was 25.
20,
no. Yeah, I started 20. Yeah, because I'll be 20. I'll be 45 later on this year. So yeah, I was 25.
I maintain that 25 is probably the minimum age to start.
I think so.
Because you don't have any life experience. Like I see a lot
of
kids.
Well, you do, though. You have a little bit of life experience. I think if you're starting at 18.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you'd have no life experience.
No.
Like, I see a lot of these kids, and I appreciate the hustle, and I appreciate the ambition. You want to get on stage as quick as possible. But you ain't got shit to talk about.
Right.
You haven't had, at that point, you haven't had a shitty job or a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Probably don't even have a job at that point.
And if you had, like...
Depending on your background.
Yeah. Like... I really feel like 25 is the bare minimum age. And like a lot of my favorite, that's when they do. I think that's when Tim Dillon got into it. That's when I got into it. I'm my own favorite comic. You're one of my favorite comics. You
I
got
appreciate that.
Yeah, you really are, man. You're a good example for
Thank
all
you.
of us out here who've been, like, I mean, if anything, just persistence. Like, like you either love this shit or you don't. You're a good example of what it looks like when you do love it.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I got into comedy because I had friends telling me I was funny. My mom told me I was funny. I mean, it seemed like every party I had been at, I always made people laugh. Always had somewhat of a crowd, if you would, that was waiting to see what I was going to say.
Did you piss all your middle school teachers off?
I think I did that well up into high school.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just stopped interacting with them, I was a high school football hero, so I could just kind of willy nilly come and go as I pleased. It was deep south.
Yep.
So that was fun. But middle school, I fucking irritated them all except one, all except Miss Dobson. Hey, Miss Dobson. Hey, Christy. She was the one that was going up to my parents being like, look, he's failing everything. I get that, but it's because he's bored. It's not because he's dumb.
Right.
That whole trope, not to toot my own horn, but
right.
in the words of Rick Sanchez, school is not a place for smart people. I truly believe that. I believe education, K through 12, not so much, but definitely higher education is one of the biggest scams.
It is.
Perpetrated amongst us.
You're trying to achieve something that, if you look around, everybody else is trying to do the same thing. And now you've got a class full of idiots that I would say less than 10% of that class is going to have debt.
Right.
And the other 10% is probably didn't even use the degree. They just did it because mom and dad said, I'm not giving you this fucking money until you get an education. So I just think it's a joke because you got all these educated fools that are taking jobs from people who don't need a degree, and now they're forced to try to find other ways.
Well, and it sucks too because it's a filter for people like us who are intelligent and capable and hard and stuff like have gumption, who want to get out there, who aren't just like, no, I did my 4 years. Where's my $60,000 a year? You know,
right.
I understand. I don't know. It's amazing to me how people still put value in that. And I've been trying to get private and I have other certifications for other industries that have been very lucrative in my past. And now I'm trying to get more into a technology-based certification. But the idea that you need a college education to get a good-paying job, the more people that realize that's bullshit, the better. Because you can literally did you know this? MIT has 90% of their courses for free online right now. You can go do them on your own time. Yep.
No.
MIT, they have Massachusetts Institute of Technology has upwards of 85% of all of their courses and their syllabuses and their study material is
free
online
to the public.
Free. Yep.
And is that recently, or has that been for some time?
Yeah, it's pretty. I think it's within the past year that they've made it public.
Why do you think that is?
So because all of the business leaders, all of the real people who know what CEOs and people who've actually got fucking skin in the game, they realize that college is bullshit.
Okay.
It's becoming readily apparent to the smart people in this country that a 4-year liberal education is nothing more than an indentured servitude program that your parents believed in. They would the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos of the world. They'd much rather see a kid come in and be like, no, I locked myself in my apartment for 6 months and I got these certifications and I got these, MIT classes under my own volition.
Right.
And now I understand this. And here's some projects that I've done to showcase my work.
Yeah.
That's where all the really smart people that have skin in the game and are trying to actually make money are going. Now, you probably go get a job, some entry-level data entry job, some bullshit with a liberal arts degree. Yeah, you can do that.
Right.
And you make 40, 50, 60, but you're never going to be a progress the corporate ladder type guy, which is what I think a lot of these kids did, Like we were talking about earlier with comedy, as with everything, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you can prove what you know was taught to yourself under your own self-gumption, you're going to impress the people you want to know.
Yeah, because that means you took the initiative to get your ass out of bed or stay in bed, whatever the case may be, get you a computer and, put your nose to the grindstone. So,
right.
That's true.
And then you go into a job interview and look at this website I built. Mm-hmm. Look what I built here.
Exactly.
Did you ever meet David Gamble?
Yeah, I did meet him. Yeah.
He's a good guy. I think he's down at Colorado Springs. He's been doing comedy. He was in at Funny Bone at one minute, the Cleveland Funny Bone, but he's a web development type guy. He's kind of been showing me the way with all this shit, but like he makes his own money. He's like he's a freelance web design type guy that does his own shit, doesn't have a boss, and like that's where I want to be. I want to be like freelancer. Like I am under the volition that the W-2 employment form is a conspiracy so the government can get to your money before you can.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I do 1099s. Yeah. I mean, shit, I get my money first, and then I got to turn around and pay you second.
Yeah.
And
I get to do the math on that shit.
Exactly. And I haven't had a real job, I mean, in years, decades. I mean, I think the last time I got a real job is just because I was incarcerated for child support. And I didn't have a fucking choice. So
Isn't that funny how they do that shit? I remember learning about that real young in the Yadkin County Courthouse. Coming out, like, I remember sitting there and, like, listening, like, oh, my cousin's got a business. No, you're going to get a real job. What the fuck is the difference?
And you honestly, for what it's worth, because I fought hard to try to just continue doing comedy while I was in jail.
Right.
And had I had done that, I'd have been paying $80 a day to stay there. Instead, I was paying $16, $17 a day.
Still.
Because you have to pay to be in jail. So...
Yeah,
and work release. But so, I mean, it was sad that I was even in jail for fucking child support because I've never been arrested for anything. Here I am, fucking black dude in jail. People are, what you in here for? I was like, oh, I was fucking helping illegals get over the fence.
I was a coyote.
I was like, I'm just fucking doing my part to help America. But, I was in a bad spot, and so I had to get a job, and I always get jobs that are sales jobs. I've been
noticing that this is a hustle unto itself, is the sales
comedy?
world.
Oh, comedy is a sales job.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, when you get on stage, you're selling the audience on, you should laugh at this.
Yeah, these are ideas that you should buy into.
Right. And then when you get off stage, now I need you to buy my merchandise.
Right.
So you like that joke? Well, it's on this DVD. You like that joke? It's on this shirt.
Right.
So you're
and it goes into like what I've been trying to do on the overall brand. Like this is Wayne McCracken. I'm a human, but I'm also a brand. And if you want to, you can participate and have fun with me.
Right. I mean, at one point I had 16 different dispensaries that sponsored me.
Really?
Yeah. I did a sponsored. I mean, I was before me and the mother of my children and I split up. I was this close to never having to work again. And then the laws changed and we broke up.
No. See, this is like I'm glad that guys like you exist, so I can learn lessons for and if you take anything from it, like be the example, like I'm in my parents' wedding photos, and like if you go back and you ask my extended family, is like, oh yeah, we were all surprised your dad got married. Nobody ever thought that shit was gonna happen.
Yeah. Is this real?
And then like I can remember growing up, some of the advice I got from my dad was, work hard. I was like, I never forget, a woman can put you in prison for any reason she fucking wants to.
That's why I stay single. Like, that's why I want girls to make the first move. Fuck it.
Yeah. Where's your level of investment at?
Yeah, exactly. Like, shit, bring it.
I know you don't have any money, but I know emotions mean a lot to you, so let's see where you're at.
You feeling froggish, leap. Because I ain't making no moves. Them days is over. No, I did not. You got on top of me, and I said, thank you.
Yes, and I don't know if you remember or not, but I've got your signature on this contract, and also you were being recorded audio, not video, but audio only.
But that's the thing too. They have to know it's being recorded.
That's why you put it on the whiteboard in your room. Like you have your jokes.
Recording.
You have your little jokes you're working on, and then you have like, oh, by the way, this
recording in progress.
If you're reading this you consent.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Could you imagine having like one of the radio like you walk in the room with a girl and hit a button and like the red recording light comes out.
You saw the red, bitch. Yeah. You know it's real. You know this shit. You know it's live. Action is live. Yeah.
I mean, you got to take all the prep. It's a woman's world these days.
It is. It always has been. Even though it was
they could have got. It was easier to.
To get away with shit back in the day, you mean? Yeah. But it was still, but even back then, if you guys split up, the woman got the kids.
Let's put it this way. The only reason German people went to war back in the 14th century, because they were trying to get laid.
Yeah.
And propagate. The only reason that cities got built was because some dude was trying to get laid.
That's it.
I mean, and it's not to say like that being a woman is easy, but it's also not to say being a man is easy.
It isn't. I mean, it's a different world though. But I mean, if you think about all the men that are falsely accused of rape, and mostly people
Bill
of color.
Cosby. I'm just
and mostly people of color, and they're put in jail because even if you do have the resources, America frowns down upon people of color doing.
That's my favorite
stupid.
thing to say to white women that are super anti-patriarchy activists. Is I was like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. Oh yeah. What do you think about old Emmett Till? No. And their brains explode in real time. It's fucking amazing to see.
Well, he shouldn't have been looking at us women. Bitch. She lied. That bitch lied.
That's my favorite because with the modern day bullshit internet culture or whatever, it's so easy to catch these people in like intellectual traps like that one. It's like, done with the patriarchy. Oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. What about Emmett?
Emit who?
Emit Smith. Didn't he rush for a couple thousand yards?
I think he's the greatest, but Barry should have.
I watched football with my boyfriend like 6 times, and I heard of Emit Smith.
Emit Teal, bitch.
Oh no!
Was he like 16? He wasn't even. He was not. He
was
like 14.
Yeah, he was a kid. He was a fucking kid.
Yeah. I mean, the shit like that still happens today, but the difference now is there's cameras everywhere.
That's true.
So, and that's why America gets to see what's happening with the blacks and the police, if you will, because it's
Although I did see, like, I've been noticing on my Twitter feed, like, there's been a couple like CNN and a couple of the other like lefty leaning mainstream where like, look at this cop. He was at a fucking donut shop and tipped a $500.
Right.
So like, I give it 6 months before we got live PD back on the air.
Right.
Like
he shot basketball with the local kids.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you look over, it's a fucking piece of cardboard or wood with a freaking actual basket, not a damn hoop, but a basket. It's like, well, how about you, officer, buy them a fucking real basketball hoop and then fucking shoot basketball with them. What the fuck?
Officer LeBlanc bought 7 basketballs
and no hoop.
and 5 $50 Starbucks gift cards for the kids in the minority.
Get them hopped up on fucking caffeine and shit.
Yeah, we're trying to get them off crack.
Let's get them wired. Yeah, exactly. We'll take them from one stimulant to another. And it's fucked up that they even put the stimulants in the fucking neighborhoods in the first place. I mean, when you sit back and think about all the bullshit that's been done.
I mean, everybody knows the black community had a fleet of airplanes and boats to bring in the coke.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
We're running low. Send out the Cessna.
This is one of my favorite quotes of all time from Freeway Rick Ross. Is like, we ain't got no fucking boats. We ain't got no fucking airplane. No. Like, how the fuck do you think this shit got here?
Get it in here? Yeah. And their whole intent was to sell it, displace more of our people, and then they come in, bust you, steal the fucking money, and then put those drugs in somebody else's hand that they just elevated.
Yeah, and then they tried that same game on fucking white people with opiates, but like it took a little longer to realize what was going on.
Right.
But the second some wealthy Southern white kids were getting fucked up, we
gotta stop that.
We gotta stop it.
Exactly.
It's like
we're killing our people.
I mean, and the only distinction is that like 90% of the world's opium comes from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And like, so you can use it for OxyContin, a legal pharmaceutical industry, and heroin.
Fentanyl. Isn't fentanyl used with that? Isn't that? Is that
yeah, fentanyl is a derived from opiates.
Yeah, that's one of the strongest.
It's the most concentrated form of opiates.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then like the Chinese were like, maybe we could use this to ruin America. Yeah. And then they did that. America ruined black people with crack. Then America ruined white people with opium, and then the Chinese picked up the game, and we're like, why don't we just run this house?
Before you know it, they're going to come in and collect.
Yep. I can't wait until China gets to the point where they're dealing with a counterculture of Molly-addicted kids going to raves and shit.
Fuck. It's
no party, no EDM.
No.
It's a no light show. No Red Rocks. No.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that's the thing I probably miss the most from this pandemic is fucking Red Rocks. Yeah. And like shows in general. Comedy shows are great. Like I'm a big believer in like it's a good sign if like you're not the biggest fan of your chosen art. Like I much prefer go to a music show than a comedy show. Still like good comedy. It's just super rare to get like one of those, like I was telling you, like Tom Segura type shows where it's just like an hour and a half of just side splitting, like like bent over laughing.
The best comedy you can hear is that. It's just you can't even catch your breath.
You just get sucked into the reality. You know, you can't help it. Like,
and it's so contagious. That small confined space at a real comedy club is just it's contagious.
Well, that's why everybody loves Comedy Works, is because it is like as comedy club as it gets as Comedy Works.
They pack you in and they get their 2 drinks out of you and
big old fucking drinks. Big old fucking God.
I miss it. I mean, I
missed the $2 beer list. I was on that for a little while. Thank you, Chris. I forgot his last name. What was the guy with the heart tattoo?
Chris. Oh fuck.
You know exactly. Yeah, what I'm
I can see his face right now.
He left a little bit before the pandemic started.
Yeah, he left a good 6 or so. Man, I think he left a good year before that, didn't he?
Maybe. Yeah. I know he was bartending at some underground parties I was going to.
Yeah,
like, he knew some underground type deals, but
he was always cool. I mean, I always tipped him. I don't even think I even got charged. I think tipped
every
him.
once in a while, like I would forget to tip them because I usually do tip pretty well, but like every once in a while, like,
that's how you got on the list, because if you're tipping well, they don't. I mean, they're at the end of the day. I mean, they just they're trying to make money, just like we're trying to save.
Exactly.
You throw them a 20, like the first drink, you just throw them a 20, and you're gold to the rest of the day.
I will say it would be nice if Denver had more comedy clubs. I think this town could use one comedy club up in like Arvada.
They used to have one up there, actually.
Really?
It used to be Wits End.
Huh.
Yeah, and they
Whatever
closed
happened
down.
to that?
It just closed down.
Was this before marijuana legalization?
No. The guy that ran it, I can't think of the guy's name. I want to say what. I cannot remember the guy's name, but he also did improv.
Okay.
So he wanted to just focus on improv and not comedy.
So he owned the improv, and then he had his...
No. He did improv at that club, from what I understood.
Oh, goddamn. Improv strikes again.
Right.
These fucking people. So, how dare you?
So, yeah. So he, that's why they shut it down.
I still think, what year did this happen?
Fuck.
Was it like before the marijuana and before the big boom in Denver?
I was homeless, so I want to say
so before the boom.
It was 2014.
Okay, yeah,
2013, 2014
when it closed down.
Yeah.
I still think if somebody came out here and maybe Castle Rock, maybe Arvada, maybe
that would be good. Yeah.
Golden, this town could use maybe 2 more full-blown comedy clubs.
Yeah, I was going to open one. I was going to partner up with this other comedian, and that fell out. That just fell apart.
I'm kind of against comics doing comedy clubs.
Why?
I think there should be that separation. There should be a guy who does booking for the comedy club who's not a comedian, and there should be an owner of the comedy club who's not a comedian. That way they're kind of removed from the artistic process and they can manage it correctly.
Well, that's what I would just want it, just for the simple fact that I've got my name on this building.
Right. Silent owner type.
Yeah, when it came down to the logistics, I'd have the people that needed. I would have my GM and all those. I would have everybody in place. And obviously you don't want to muddy the waters, because now you have a relationship with the comedians, and now they think because you own the place. Well, yeah, you own the place, so you should let me.
Well, we all saw the shit that Comedy Works went through over the past couple of years with trying to placate and trying to make comedians happy. That shit, in my opinion.
When did they do that? Where was I at?
When they fucking protested Louis, a bunch of the local comics were like, "Don't let Louis perform."
Oh no, that just made it to where they can't perform there.
But then they let him back in.
Did they?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
That's what I heard. I might be wrong, but I know some of the people that run some of the places these days that were close to some of the places, they're still back there, and they organized that protest.
I guess it really matters where you're at on the food chain.
Exactly, and that was what was upsetting about it. It was like, how are you going to let these people who are protesting the only real comedy club that supports local talent? Mm-hmm. We got an improv, like you said, but they don't do anything with the locals around here.
They do, but you just have to know the right people.
I've never even seen it. The only person I think I saw down there was Zeke Herrera at one point.
We'll talk.
Those people don't
I'll get you some context.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, dude. Like I said, I'm all about more stage time, because like we were talking, I was at an open mic earlier tonight. Everybody's up there. There's 5 people who aren't comics there. There's probably 22 people total, 22, 25 people total.
Okay.
The normal people, I get them on a roll, get them laughing. There were 2 black people there, and he's going hard as a mother. You know how black folk are. And so I was like,
I do know.
I feel good. These people are responding. People in the back are laughing, but the comics, the other open micers and the other comics, they're laughing at you. It's like, well, that fucking punchline failed.
Right.
It's like, God, you guys don't realize what you're creating such bad habits here.
Right.
And then like we're all open micers in this town. So these people, you start developing jokes for other open micers, and it's like, I get it because that's mostly who you perform for during these open mics. But that is not what actual human beings want to hear.
So then basically what they're doing, they're setting themselves up so that when an opportunity does present itself, they don't have the necessary tools to be able to
and they get used to that cadence too. Like, punchline, silent. It's like, wow, that failed. And it just seems like a bad habit forming type deal.
That's why you can look at what they're doing and be like, hey, I don't want to make those mistakes.
Right.
I mean, that's really all you can do.
But it's so difficult to get an actual audience. I mean, back when Comedy Works was pumping, and, every 6 weeks you'd bring out your best shit and you'd be like, I thought it worked. Right. I knew it worked. It had worked a couple times when I got a good audience. Knew it worked. But now it's just like, how do you, like, I feel like I've lost my barometer for what actual audiences want to hear.
Yeah, but I mean, when the opportunity does present itself and we are back in the clubs and we're able to do, you can still draw from the experiences you've had during this whole pandemic so that you can at least try and pick up where you left off, so to speak, and see with what you've learned during this time if you can actually apply that or if you just got to start all over from scratch. What I like about comedy, it gives you an opportunity to really just do what the fuck you want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And see, what I want to do is I want to have an act. I want to have a 30-minute act, a 20-minute act, a 30-minute act, a 45-minute act, and an hour act. And like, I want all that shit to be tight. I want to be able to, somebody says, hey, can you headline over here? I want to be able to, yes, I've got that time down. And it's hard to develop those long acts when you're doing these open mics.
Not at all.
Let me finish. But everybody's heard your shit, and like 90% of the shows are 90% open micers. It because like you feel this pressure to write new shit when I don't feel like anybody, maybe very few people, like a couple like you and Alan, maybe some of the guys who've been doing it a long time, haven't like what was the other black dude?
Brian Hawker,
Anthony
Crawford.
Yeah. He had a good act down. Like all these people, they've got good acts down, but I feel like for guys who've only been doing it a couple of years, like it's really hard to get your first like half an hour fucking tight, solid, and like feel like people just all my buddies have heard this joke a million times before. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to go into something new just because they're tired of telling the joke instead of sticking with that, developing an act and stuff like that. Like one of the things like I learned from Rogan, just like listening to his podcast, is he said he would go to the Comedy Store and do 15-minute sets, but every 15-minute set is a chunk of his hour special, I feel like that stuff like that is hard to accomplish.
No, not at all. And that's what I mean, when I went to the open mic, when I was doing open mics, if I did 3 mics in a night, I'm not doing the same shit I did in the other 2 mics at the last mic.
Right.
Why?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
But how many jokes do you have? Because like I've got probably 6 or 7 5 to 10 minute jokes.
See, I had notebooks, so you got to think from that perspective. You've got the way I looked at comedy, and I actually am grateful that I started doing this when I did. Is that I was doing jokes when I was doing comedy. When I first started doing comedy, I did it to entertain my friends because my friends were coming to support me.
Oh, see, yeah, nobody has that out here.
Well, they stopped supporting me because the comedians were doing the same shit. You see what I'm saying? So I was trying to do this to keep them coming to support me, not realizing that didn't have anything, that didn't matter anyways, because they're looking at the overall picture, not just they're
taking in the show, like they're coming to see you, but like they're actual comedy fans.
Right. So now they're like, "Fuck, I can't sit through this comedian doing the same shit I've just
seen this motherfucker 3 times."
Right.
And I feel like that feeling I get from other comedians when I'm like, "All right, I know you guys have heard this joke, but I've got another little thing I want to slip in here." But this would happen at I'd be like, "Okay, cool. I've never seen half the people in this room, so I'm going to do this joke." But all the other open micers know this joke. You know what I'm saying? So it feels like to my peers, to the other comics, it's like, oh, Wayne's just doing the same old shit. But no, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these new people.
Everybody else.
I could give less of a fuck about what these other comics think.
Right.
You know, I love comics. I love hanging out with really true comedians. But as far as my act goes, I give a fuck what you guys think. You know, if you got pointers or you want to tell me something, and I respect you, yeah, I'll lend an ear. But as far as like my act goes and like how tired you are of hearing it, I give a fuck about that. I'm trying to entertain these normal people who are just here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, and I feel like a lot of these open micers, they feel an obligation to entertain their peers as opposed to entertain an audience, if that makes any sense.
And with that being said, like you were saying, the audience is your peers. So it's really.
But I only had to see them once. I'm probably not going to see them when I go down. You know, when I leave Scruffy Murphy's and go down to Lions Lair. I'm probably not going to see them down there too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, really, I mean, if anything, what I've noticed anymore is just people just want to be validated by their other peers, which is fine.
I could give less of a shit about the validation.
Exactly.
And I think that's another mark of a true comic. You know, it's like, I like you guys. Like, I like hanging out with you. I like shooting the shit.
Right.
But I give a fuck about your validation of my art.
But that's what I see. I see people like, oh, so-and-so can vouch for me, or, you know, and it's just like, to me, I was always the guy that just wanted to see what I could get away with on stage. So that's why I just fucking, to me, it was just spitballing, you know, so you're literally you're in third period with a fucking pen, missing the ink, and you just got the casing and you're spitting to see what sticks. And you do that enough, you can build a 30-minute, you could honestly build a 30-minute set in a week.
Like I don't know if you saw it over there. I got the whiteboard on there and I'm trying to buy, it's behind this curtain over here.
Okay.
But it's a whiteboard. And what I like to do is like, I've got like my 4 main bits on there and like they're, 5 to 7 minutes. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to develop an actual act. Like, cause I'm trying to develop something that's, marketable. Like I want if Comedy Works calls me or not Comedy Works, if whoever the fuck calls me is like, hey, we like your shit, can you do a half an hour? I'm gonna be like, yes, I've got the perfect act. I've got my act down. Like I treat it like a comedy special. Like these guys, they recycle, they do a new special every 2 years at the highest level. Like I'm trying to develop my first comedy special. If that makes any sense.
Shit, my attitude was every show was a special. I mean, there was a point where if I just had better equipment, like, because I'd record a CD, and if I'm getting the response that I want, then I'm selling it.
Right.
So that was my mentality. But I see where you're coming from. But I mean, you can do that though, and that's the thing, is, record it, throw it up online. See what the response is, because you never know. That could definitely happen where somebody's like, hey, I like what you got. I like your message. Can you do 30? And if you think about it, to be a headliner, all you have to have is 30 minutes.
Right.
You got to do 45 minutes, but you know what that other 15 minutes is?
I don't. I would like to.
that other 15 minutes is just fucking fill.
Right.
It's just, excuse me, oh, I just flew in, your airport sucks. Oh, you guys have legal weed here. Or, the Broncos suck. Oh, I can't believe, it's really just filling in the blanks.
Right.
And then once you do that 15 minutes... within that 15 minutes, you want something.
Crowd work, what the fuck ever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last 5 minutes, you want something that's going to lead into your 30-minute material.
Right.
And then, boom, you got them. And then usually if you're doing that, you're going to get more than 45 minutes. You're probably going to get 50. I mean, the most time I've done on stage is 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Damn.
And I just because it just...
It comes. You get in that flow state.
And it worked because I did a show. This was in Aurora. It was right across the street from...
Aurora has comedy shows?
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. They actually, I want to say this is probably even Denver because it's right in the middle. It's probably still was Aurora, but right across the street from Hooters. There was a spot down there, and I did it with 3-4 other comedians, and 3 of the comedians had never even done comedy before. So I don't even want to say comedians. 3 of the comics had never even done comedy.
3 of the humorists.
Right. The 3 of the ones that had, jokes written on their hand. But, they get up there and they do their thing and they're not getting the laughs. You can see it in their face. They're not getting the laughs that they were looking for.
That look of panic.
So they're like, I got to get off. Like I remember a couple of them were supposed to do at least 10 minutes and they got off within 4 or 5 minutes of doing their set. So the host brings me up. And I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, oh shit.
I didn't even get to go outside and smoke my blunt. I just, okay. And, 2 hours, 15 minutes later, I'm getting off the stage and I'm selling T-shirts and shit.
Nice.
So it's like, but, you know, that's what these open mics do for us. It gets us in a position to where we feel comfortable being on stage, and that's all it is.
Right.
Once you get to a bigger mic, now you've got asses in the seats. Like the biggest show I ever did was Ricky Smiley. And I say that, no, I take that back.
I don't know who that
the
is,
biggest comedy show I ever did was 420. It was at the Civic Center.
Okay, yeah,
downtown.
Yeah, back in the festival they always have down there.
Yeah, so I performed for like 15,000 people.
Oh, yeah. Was it
5,000 people I got laughing. You see what I'm saying? Because, everybody else is doing their thing.
You had 5,000 people in your world.
Right. But to get that many people laughing at me was a fucking mind fucking half.
Right?
And then I opened up for Chappelle, so that was the second biggest show I ever did. Opened up for Chappelle.
You opened up for Chappelle?
In 07, yeah.
I didn't realize you did that.
Yeah, I opened up for Chappelle in 07.
That was he's coming off South Africa.
Yeah, he literally just got back from Africa when I did the show. It was March 7th, 2007.
Hell yeah.
And, and so... I did that show, and then the next big show that I did was Ricky Smiley. He's a black comedian that he does clean comedy. He doesn't do any.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
So here I am, and they gave me.
Y'all ever heard about crack?
Shit, whoa, man, that show, and I did pretty good. In fact, I even people, shook. I got some love, but I mean. I never got a chance to meet. Actually, I did meet Ricky. Ricky was just like, "Hey, just keep working on your craft." And stuff
right. He's a true pro. He gets that shit.
But I had to be clean, so it's like, you know what I mean. I opened up for Eddie.
I did a Comedy Works Christmas show. It's stressful.
It's work.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it, but it's just one of those things. Like, that's not the kind of comedy I want to do.
Right. Yeah. Same here. It's outside of my wheelhouse.
I mean, John Chris is a perfect example. He started his mics. He started at my mic. I did Gennaro's. His first mic, to my knowledge, was at my show. I'm pretty sure he did some other stuff, but
around that time,
right?
Yeah.
And so and look where he's at. But he does clean comedy,
right?
So
there's definitely a market for that. If you can get, if that's your shit, and you can get good at it, But there's a lot of people who enjoy the challenge of it,
right? I mean, that's not who I am.
Yeah. It's not a reflection of our personality.
No, that'd be like, you've got NWA when that album came out. I didn't know they had a clean version. But yeah, they do because they want to still have that mass appeal, and they have to be able to put one of those songs on the radio.
Police is going to get on the radio one way or another.
Well, but it would now. But back then, it was radio was one of Eazy-E songs, and then it's just
The Boys in the Hood Are Always Hard. I imagine back in the day.
No, that would never make it to the radio. It would now.
Bunch of Ronald Reagan voters out there. What is going on with our country, Martha?
Shut it fucking down.
We have let them have too much freedom.
But if you think about it, the clean is only going to sell so much, but you're still going to make some money.
Right. Well, I mean, we live in
a shit ton of money.
live in a beautiful time though, where you don't. Like, all you have to do is be marketable to 1,000 people. If you can convince 1,000 people to give up $5 a month to support you,
you can do that yourself with this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do,
exactly.
And we need you out here to help us escape the poverty cycle.
Hell yeah!
Yes, help Dick and I. Dick, you have social media? You should probably shout out
Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter. I get on Facebook lately. I've been posting fucking memes and shit, which is, it should be meme. But
I fall back into it and I don't like it. Like I post it. Like I do feel like it's, I don't know. It's not counterproductive.